So we left it off where if they answered a question that they've already answered, we don't give them real indication that it's been updated. We just take them somewhere else. So what we're going to talk about here is actually the Django Messages framework. So if you go to Django Messages framework, this is contrib/messages here. That will actually show you the Django messages, and we're going to be using them in templates and in views. So what messages do is they provide a notification based on the request. So it actually goes into the session and stores it to where it's something that the user will only see. Only the end user or the user that we're sending this to, that's the only person that's going to see it. It's not going to go site-wide, and we're really not going to store it either inside of our database. So what we're going to do here, it's basically like a flash message. It just shows it one time, one request, and then it goes away. So to do this, we want to make sure of a few things. And the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that it's actually installed. So we'll go into a matchmaker, into our settings, and in installed apps. We have messages here. So this is actually what we're going to be working with. So it's already installed. It comes by default. And then we look at how we can actually use this messages stuff. So there's a few different ways on how we can do it. So you could call it the long way of messages.addMessage, and then the message type that it is, and the message itself. Or you could do it with these shortcuts. So we're going to actually use the shortcuts because that's a little bit easier on us. And I'm going to go ahead and import this. So in the view that we actually want to work with, in this case, I'm going to go into the question single view itself. And this is where we're going to put it in. So from django.contrib, import messages. And then now, down in the question itself, so down here, this is going to say if it's unanswered, but either way, we want to probably give a response saying that the answer has been saved, or we've recorded your response, or it's been updated. It's going to be one or the other, right? It's going to be either updated or it's going to actually just save this answer. So I'm not going to really worry about whether or not it's been updated. All I'm going to worry about is whether or not the question or giving the actual question message a response. So we'll do messages.success. And it's taken the request, and then finally a message that we say. So your message or your response was saved successfully. And how you would do it, whether or not it's updated, has everything to do with this stuff. So if the question instance existed, you would say updated Q equals to true. If it did not exist, you'd say updated Q equals to false, and then we would just go down here and say, lastly, we'd also want to say updated Q is true on this one and false on this one. All right, so you want to make sure that you have updated Q all across the board there. And finally, down here would say if updated Q, then we would get the else clause in here. Your response was saved successfully. And we could say your response was updated successfully. Of course, if there's errors and all this stuff, there would be other ways on how you would want to go about writing this, but that's what we're going to do. So we have the updated question, and now what we want to do is show the response for it. So if we look back into the documentation, you can see displaying messages. This is actually how you can display messages in your template. So it's fairly easy to do. We can go ahead and copy this itself, and we'll go into the base.html. So in a base.html, and I'll explain why we're doing base.html in just a second. And then underneath the nav bar, but before the block jumbotron, I'm going to paste it in here. And we will just leave it as is for now. So when I come back in here, I'm going to now answer one of these questions and hit save and continue. Notice it says your response was updated successfully. If I do a refresh, that message goes away. If I go back into these questions, I hit save and continue, shows it again. And then I refresh, it goes away. So what's happening here is it's actually showing the message only that one time. And if we save it one more time, I can actually inspect the element here and see what this message is saying. So if you notice the class says success, so messages.tags, these are tags that are actually coming through on this message success right here. So if we wanted extra tags, you could do extra tags, and you could add in extra tags that you might want to have here. So we'll say updated. And now we'll go back in here and refresh and then just save and answer the question. And now if we inspect the element here, we see that updated is also in there. So we can add these little tags to change how the actual document looks, right? So these tags are coming through here, so we can actually work through with these tags. And notice it says messages.tags. So what I'm going to do here is say if updated, well, let's use single quote, if updated in messages.tags, then I'll say has been, and then otherwise we'll just add messages.tags. And then we'll put end if. Oh, let's close this block off right here. All right, so we go back in here, we refresh, save that question again, go in here, inspect element, and we notice that it says has been. So that's actually showing us all the types of ways and how you can use messages in templates as well. I'm of course going to get rid of this because we want to just keep message tags because that's fine for us at this point. So now what I want to do is make this a little bit more dynamic by using Bootstrap's alert function, or at least Bootstrap's tagged so we can show this as a more proper alert that would be on a site, so it's aligned and fixed that way. So that's something we'll do in the next one. If you have any questions on Django Messages, let us know, but do keep in mind that Django Messages are not the same as one message sending a message to another. It's not an inbox. It's literally just a flash message. It's going to show for one request and it's going to go away. It's not stored anywhere, but it's really used specifically for this. So if you ever want to build some sort of inbox, I highly recommend not calling the app Messages. I would call the app Inbox or something along those lines. But again, if you have any questions on this, let us know. Otherwise, let's keep going.